So, Jean wakes up on the same beach as Ruby before wandering into the forest and coming across a tree with clock fruits. Yes, really. And instead of simply observing them, Jean decides to pick one and time starts going backwards. You would think with all of the magical bullshit Jean has witnessed, he'd be overly cautious of something like this, especially magical bullshit he's never seen. This is basic common sense at this point. However, that is small potatoes compared to the fact that RWBY has casually introduced time travel. The same show that can't even keep its own continuity straight. The same show in which basic coherency is an unattainable goal. The same show that avoids cause and effect like organized chaos, avoids an original thought in his brain, is going to introduce a mechanic like time travel.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
This scene right here is the most damaging scene in all of RWBY, full stop. Because in order for the character of the Rusted Knight to have been written down means that Jean has to end up in C-197. And if he's not in C-197 as the Rusted Knight to help Alex, it's likely that either the story doesn't get written or written as is. After all, Jean was trying to keep the story on track as best as he could as the Rusted Knight. Something he couldn't do if he was never sent back in time with the knowledge of the Rusted Knight in the story in the first place. And in order to end up in C-197 to pick the clock fruit and be sent back in time to become the Rusted Knight means that all of the important events and choices in Jean's life would have to be predetermined. They were always going to happen. This sets off a disastrous domino effect that completely destroys the concept of free will and freedom of choice. And this isn't me looking too deep into this. The events of volumes 1 through 8 have to happen the way they do. The fall of Beacon must happen because that is the foundational event that influences so many significant choices. The most important being James shutting down the borders and putting in place the dust embargo, which leads to Jacques working with Arthur, RWBY lying to James due to the heavy military presence in Mantle, James going insane due to the Moronics lying and Cinder's goons, which inevitably leads to the creation of the Central Void Hub. And in order for Jean to fall into the void, Cinder needs to fuck everything up, which means every choice she made in her life and the events tied to them must happen the way they happen. And almost all of this can only happen because of Salem and her influence. An influence that has affected every character in this show, either directly or indirectly. And this can only happen if she gets upset God won't let her get laid. Choices don't matter. The future is predetermined, taking away all meaning or value that choices have. Because they were always going to happen no matter what. So what is the point of getting invested in any choice that has been made or will be made? Because the choice is predetermined. Free will doesn't exist. There was nothing anyone could do to stop any of the death or destruction Salem or Cinder have caused. Nothing that could have stopped James from crashing out, or Penny and Pyrrha dying, Yang getting her arm cut off, Summer Rose dying, any of the traumatic shit that has happened to Oz. And what did we get for this? What was the payoff for stripping away the free will and freedom of choice in this retarded fucking universe? Jean is actually the character from the story everyone is referencing. A fucking stupid twist. That was sure as fuck worth it, you hack motherfucker! And this episode was written by the same guy who made dying a plot hole because souls can now form new bodies when separated from the original body? Now it all makes sense. Why is Eddie Rivas allowed near a Microsoft Word document?